How's it going, everybody? We are here talking about politics today. So if you got a question about politics, let me know in the chat. I am here to answer your questions. There's no judgments. There's no debating. You don't got to worry about what is this guy's gonna think I'm dumb for asking this question. I don't make people feel dumb for not knowing things about politics. I just like answering the questions. So if you got a question, you can hit me up with anything you want. No judgments, no debates. And I know that politics can be intimidating to try to get into. And so I like to make myself available to answer your questions about politics. So yeah, anything that is on your noodle. It can be something simple, like, what are the three branches of government? It can be something more complicated, like explain reconciliation, or it could be something about our current political moment, and that usually is what people tend to want to discuss. And so, I am totally down for that as well. But I don't do debates and I don't do any judgment. You don't got to worry about if you ask a specific question like, is he going to think I'm some sort of squishy lib, or is he going to think I'm some sort of MAGA psychopath? There's no judgments here. You can ask me whatever you like. I don't judge. I'm not going to make you feel foolish for not knowing something. Back in the day, before I knew anything about politics, I used to ask my friends questions, and sometimes they would make me feel silly for not knowing things already. And I don't believe in doing that. So I believe in just answering people's questions and trying to give people as good of a response as I can. So yeah, SJ says do it. Do what? I gotta get a question for me to do my thing here. Dick Tickler says you are cute as fuck. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But those are not questions about politics. That's what we're doing here today. So if anybody's got a question about politics, you don't got to worry about judgment. You don't got to worry about he's gonna make me feel dumb for for asking this or anything. Death and Candy says, should we eat meat? Well, I'm not going to sit here and say that we should have some sort of legislation making eating meat illegal, but I mean, I think that the data is pretty conclusive about meat. Like, it's not as healthy for you as a vegetarian or vegan diet. It's better for the environment to be on a vegan or vegetarian diet. So I encourage people to eat less meat. But, I'm not trying to say we should be living in some sort of a, green dictatorship where nobody is allowed to eat meat. But maybe we can start phasing it out, and maybe the culture will be better when we all sort of start treating meat like it's a treat that happens like once or twice a week, as opposed to I gotta have a little bit of meat every single day. Taco Cat says, may I join? No, I don't do debates or interviews or anything like that. So if you have a question, just throw it in the chat. Long Talker 360, favorite political movie? I like Bob Ross, which is it Bob Ross? Bob Roberts? The one with that super tall guy from Shawshank Redemption. What's his name? Tim something. Let's see here. Lemmy Garden Mister says lab meat will be great for the environment. Yeah, I mean, I like lab meat. I like fake meat. I'm not a full vegetarian or vegan, but I do eat vegetarian-ish and vegan-ish. And I think that a lot of times people get intimidated by the idea of going vegetarian or going vegan. Like, my God, it's going to be so hard, But I don't believe in like an all or nothing version, Like I generally have a vegetarian or vegan diet, and if I feel like eating meat, I eat meat. And I feel like we could probably do some damage to our meat consumption if everybody just had that attitude of like it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be dogmatic about it. You can just eat less. Let's see here. How do you feel about the United Healthcare CEO assassination? Says person who doesn't have a name but just a smiley cowboy face. It seems as though we are moving towards a more French Revolution style culture, and I gotta say I'm not mad about it. I don't endorse violence of any kind, and that includes the unaliving of a real piece of shit who has ruined people's lives and tore apart families and caused medical debt, caused ceaseless harm. I guess I'm just surprised it took so long. I'm not sad that the fella is gone. But again, I don't endorse any kind of violence. Let's see here. Mike Kearns. Why do people believe tariffs are paid by other countries? Because propaganda, because Republican propaganda put that information out there. There are a lot of Republican propaganda narratives that are just sort of like part of our culture that we don't even fucking think about, you know? Yeah, what was it? I just came across. Oh, yeah, this is the, you know, people were asking me before about like how it was that Trump did so good in the election and how it was that Democrats did so poorly in the election. And I was like, well, there's a lot of misinformation, disinformation out there. They did a poll of a post-election poll of swing state voters, and they said that 72% of swing state voters believed that Kamala Harris was going to force everybody to buy an electric car. 64% of swing state voters believed that she was going to decriminalize border crossings. And 66% believed that Kamala Harris was going to use taxpayer money for gender-affirming care for illegal immigrants who are currently in jail. Now, are there like little data points that people could use to come up with that? Sure. You know, like she said some stuff during the 2020 primary when she was trying to out-left Bernie. That could be, taken out of context and put in front of people. But I think it's weird that so many people believe that that was her platform. But that was not her platform in 2024. It was just a very successful Republican propaganda campaign to make it seem like these things that she may have said at one point in her life were the foundation of her platform. And the fact that people didn't know about things like all the good things that the Biden administration accomplished, or her actual platform that would have helped bring down prices and would have helped working class Americans, like those weren't front of mind because Republican propaganda. Let's see here. Coffee Toffee 455 says, I take it you're a Democrat? I am. Ethan, does Kamala's loss mainly have to do with her being blamed for Biden's presidency? I think it has to do with two things. I think it has to do with all these propaganda narratives that were very diverse. Like we think about right-wing propaganda narratives and we think like, oh, it was probably like, this lie about illegal immigrants or something like that. But it's way more complicated than that. It's all these narratives around, don't vote because it will send a message to the two-party system that we're not happy. Like that is a right-wing propaganda narrative because the fewer people that vote, the better that Republicans do in elections. The fact that everybody viewed the Democratic Party as being responsible for the war crimes that Netanyahu's doing in Gaza and ignoring the fact that Republicans were worse on that issue, like that is Republican propaganda right there. The focus on Biden pardoning Hunter Biden and not focusing on the dozens of people that Trump pardoned who were worse, that were like, objectively worse pardons than Biden pardoning his son, that's right-wing propaganda, And so it's multifaceted. There's leftists on here who think that it would be better for Trump to win because it would hasten the collapse of America and then maybe we could build a socialist utopia after that. That's right-wing propaganda because that incentivizes leftists, Democrats and liberals and progressives and every flavor of Democrat to not engage and to not be part of the process. And it is also, the fact that the various left-wing factions like to fight each other online is also right-wing propaganda, because who does it help when the Bernie wing is too busy fighting the centrist wing to actually get out there and talk about the shitty things that Republicans are doing and the shitty Republican platform? Who does that help? Exactly. That's the long and short of it from my take. But I think there's also an incumbency bias that political parties felt around the globe, and it wasn't just an American thing. Welded Steel says, these are just your opinions. I would say that they're very, very well-sourced opinions. Like the fact that so many people had wrong ideas about what Harris's plan was. The fact that people were Googling what is a tariff after the election. That people were Googling, can I change my election can I change my vote after the election? Like all of those things, I believe are data points. And I have a little bit of anecdotal experience with this as well, being on here, being a political content creator and seeing the kind of narratives that are popping up like on my videos in the comment sections in my lives, seeing the videos that get recommended to me, and I'm like, oh, all of these narratives help Republicans. So yeah, that's, I think that is a very important part of the political discussion that does not get enough light shined on it. And additionally, if we're thinking about this as like what helps Republicans, being able to control the narratives via social media, where, you've got Elon Musk who owns X and he's allowed to put out whatever he wants. And if you have a lot of money, you can pay influencers to put out your narratives for you. We saw that with Russia and Tim Pool. But who's to say that there aren't other creators out there that are quote unquote left-wing or progressive or independent or centrists who are being funded by right-wing interests? Like, we don't know that. And we know that the Republican Party and right-wing interests have a ton of money to wage these influence campaigns, so it all tracks for me. Let's see here. Joseph K. Kamala did that nonstop too. Why are you lying? I don't know what you're talking about. What did Kamala do? Let's see here. Ethan, Democrats would have won with a white, more moderate Democrat. They chose the dream candidate. I don't agree with that, Ethan. I think that Republicans like to spread misinformation and lies about whatever candidates, and so even if Biden had not pardoned Hunter, we still would have seen the Republican Party saying that they were justified in pardoning the January 6th people because it was lawfare, blah, blah, blah. But then, now that Biden did pardon Hunter, then now they're going to just plug that into the thing that they're already planning on saying, Let's see here. Matt, do you think Canada will become a 50-person the 50th American state? Is that what you're asking here, me, Matt? Let's see here. Mikkel, Harris won. I don't know what you're saying there, Mikkel, because there's no data to suggest that Harris won the election. Let's see here. Joseph K. The DNC paid for influencers to lie on their behalf. Why won't you hold your party accountable? First of all, that's not how you spell your. Second of all, I have not seen any substantive data to suggest that there was a paid influencer campaign coming out of the Democratic Party. I know that is something that influencers say on social media, but I haven't heard any legitimate reporting on that. You can't really trust everything that comes out of an influencer's mouth. And I will never tell you not to double check the things that I'm telling you guys. Like, Google is free. You guys have all the same resources that I do. I'm just trying to shine a light onto the facts that I think are not being shed light on. Let's see here. Welded Steel says, should Biden pardon Trump? No, Trump's going to pardon Trump. We don't have to fucking worry about that. Joseph K. Cry about autocorrect is childish. Yeah, I'm not crying. I'm just calling you out for having bad grammar. Matt, do you think Canada will join the U.S. because of the tariffs and stuff like that? I do not think that Canada is going to join the U.S. Let's see here. Jaded01 says, I think MAGA should be its own party. I mean, MAGA is the Republican Party now, Let's see here. Yeah, anybody who's calling out how Jewish I look or my Jewish last name, y'all can just go ahead and report those people for anti-Semitism. That would be great. Let's see here. Welded Steel, I don't trust either party. Welded Steel, I don't know if you are aware of it or not, but that is Republican propaganda right there. That is exactly what the right wing of this country wants you to think. They want you to think that both parties are equally untrustworthy and equally bad. And if you want, I can go through a laundry list of reasons why the Democratic Party is better than the Republican Party. I don't care if you don't trust them, but don't lump them together because there are big differences between the parties. There are big substantive differences between their platforms and between outcomes. Like, if you look at states that are controlled mostly by Democrats, there are better outcomes for the citizens. Life expectancy is higher, crime is lower, violent crime is lower, median income is higher, education level is higher. Like, there's a lot to know. There's a lot to suggest that the Democratic Party, though flawed, is leagues better than the Republican Party. And saying blanket statements like, I don't trust either party, does the work of the Republican Party, because it makes it seem like, they're all corrupt. We might as well vote for whoever's hair we like the best or whatever, or not vote at all. Like, not voting is Republican propaganda. All right, scrolling down to the bottom here. Let's see here. Ethan, from what I heard, do you believe Kamala being African-American had little impact on the election? No, I'm sure, racism and misogyny is always a part of, America's elections. I don't think it's a coincidence that Biden won against Trump and two women lost against Trump. The way that racism and misogyny is a part of our culture is sometimes very insidious and unconscious in ways that we don't understand. And so, are there people out there who were thinking things like, people who like don't pay attention to politics all that much, were thinking things like, I don't know, I just don't feel comfortable with, I just don't like her. Like, there's something about her that just, I don't know, she doesn't feel like a president to me. Like, that's probably some unconscious misogyny or racism right there, or both. So yeah, there's many factors to this, but I think that the culture is something that we can affect. But I don't think that just saying it was racism is going to have the same effect as calling out like Republican propaganda or talking about, shitty Republican policies or great Democratic policies. Like, I think those things are a lot more productive. We can know that it's racism and misogyny, but I don't know if just sort of like resting our laurels on that and being like, that's the reason is the move. Because in 2008, when our country was a lot more racist than it is now, arguably you could say that Trump getting elected kind of fueled more racism because the racists came out of the woodwork but that's a whole other argument. But I think anybody would agree that, like the further you go back into America's past, like the racism's kind of like on a scale like this. But even as I'm saying this, I'm like, I don't know, because Trump's election really did like change the culture for racists and made racists feel like they could be more racist, and then that created more racism. But so yeah, regardless, Obama got elected in 2008. So at least there was, as I'm talking about this, I'm kind of like arguing against myself and being like, I don't know if that's a great point, Jarrett. So, just like nix the last 5 minutes of what I said. Let's see here. KMA said, why did the economy go to shit during Biden's term? You can view this one of two ways, KMA. You can look at the end of the Trump administration and see that there were a lot of fires that needed to be put out by the Biden administration. So, we've got the first 2 years of the Biden administration where they're passing bills because they have the House. Then we lose the House in the midterm elections, and inflation starts becoming a bigger problem. And then through the economic, legislation of the Democratic Party, we were able to get inflation from 9% back down to 2.4%. That's like one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is just Biden did a lot of the similar things that Trump did, but for some reason inflation only happened during his administration. I know that it's cringe and eyebrow raising to be like the problems that you experienced during the Biden administration were caused by Trump. But I think a very cogent argument could be made that that was the case. Like, I can point to a lot of factors from the Trump administration for things like the chaos that's happening in the Middle East and the inflation that we felt during the Biden administration. But, if you don't want to believe that, also people need to be kind of clued into politics in order to register that. All that people knew was Biden elected, prices higher, me sad, because there were people on here arguing, and you can say that they were right-wing bots or not, but there were people on here arguing that, Trump will be better for women's rights because women lost the right to get an abortion during the Biden administration, without putting the pieces together of, well, how did that happen? Well, Trump nominated 3 Supreme Court justices who were expressly sat to get rid of Roe versus Wade. It was those judges who got rid of Roe versus Wade, and that just so happened to happen during the Biden administration. Doesn't mean that it was his fault, shit like that. Let's see here. ASN Chan, Trump can overturn Roe versus Wade, but cost a ton of women time well worth it. Sue your local doctors. I'm not really sure what you're getting at there, ASN Chan. Maybe I'm reading that incorrectly. Let's see here. Michael Stone says, are you friends with David Pakman? I don't know who David Pakman is. Walker says, you are missing the big picture here. Well, then tell me. Tell me, what is the issue? Laura, how are you feeling post-surgery? Welcome back. I still feel pretty terrible. The surgery happened just 2 weeks ago, and I still have stitches and shit on my lower gum, so my speech is a little bit muddled, and the roof of my mouth where they took the gum tissue from still feels like I got a 3rd-degree pizza burn up there. This is the first time I've felt able to start streaming again, and I really wanted to. And I was really, itching to get back in the game. So yeah, I hope you will all bear with me if I muddle my words a little bit here. But yeah, that surgery fucking sucked. Nobody ever get a gum graft surgery, you know? I think I don't know what I would do if I ever needed the surgery again, because it was one of the worst recovery experiences of my life. Surgery itself wasn't that bad. You know, they don't knock you out. They just numb up your whole fucking mouth and then rip it to shreds. And then for the next 2 weeks, you're just miserable. You know, I was on pain medication just playing video games and watching movies. And I was like, I cannot believe that I am this unhappy just watching TV, you know. All right, let's see here. Over on Twitch, we got a couple of comments. Globalize my agenda. Good to see you back again. Let's see here. Globalize agenda says that is probably correlation, not causation. Not sure what you're referring to there. Cities tend to vote Dem, so of course they will have better outcomes. I mean, that's a little thin, Globalize. I think we need to be a little more specific with what we're talking about. The Lime and the Wire says, don't you think that Kamala was uniquely poor positioned to lead a campaign against the right, though as the VP, she is a continuity candidate. She could not assert a strong agenda for change, which deviated from the incumbent government without actually attacking herself. In an election driven by an appetite for radical change, she was the only candidate who couldn't offer radical change without undermining her own performance. I think that is a very substantive summation of what, you know, incumbent parties experienced all around the globe, like this bias against incumbent parties, the Lime and the Wire. I think that is spot on. But I definitely don't think that... I don't have any argument against that at all. But I don't think that it's nothing that so many people had wrong ideas about what her platform was. I don't think it's nothing that so many people did not know the good things that the Biden administration had done in order to sort of boost an incumbent party and be able to say, like, look, the party that gave you the Inflation Reduction Act, the party that gave you the largest investment in green energy in our nation's history, the party that has been revitalizing small towns with green energy jobs that are safer and cleaner and just as good, as well paying as your old coal industry jobs. The party that got, you know, inflation from 9% to 2.4%, the party that canceled $170 billion worth of student debt, the party, that lowered healthcare costs, the party that is pledging to take corporate price gougers to task. That was not what was front of mind for people. You know, I think that information and things like, you know, the fact that we had a unique and unprecedented number of Republicans who were endorsing the Democratic candidate because of how shitty the Republican candidate was. And additionally, the Republican candidate had one of the worst campaigns in history, Project 2025. You know, women are dying because of these abortion bans. Like, all of that information should have mattered. But that wasn't what was in people's brains. What was in people's brains was, you know, Kamala's going to force me to buy an electric car. Kamala is going to decriminalize border crossings. She's going to use my taxpayer money to give illegal aliens who are in custody gender-affirming care. Like, that was what was front of mind for people. I think that you cannot discount the information sphere and how that hurt Democratic candidates up and down the ballot. But that was a very cogent, little soliloquy that you have there, little monologue of the Lime and the Wire. I think that's very well said and totally on point. Let's see here. Dave Cian says no one is dying from an abortion ban. No, at least 4 women have died. Actually, I think it's 5 now. 2 women in Georgia and 3 in Texas. If I'm up on my news, you know, and women have also lost fertility. And even the women who have had pregnancy emergencies and have survived with their fertility, they were still tortured. You know, they were told that their pregnancy was unviable. They have lost the child that they wanted. And in addition to dealing with that pain, they were also told, and you're going to die because I can't do anything to help you. The best thing I can tell you to do is go to a different state, which will be a long, painful, and an expensive experience for you. Or you can go sit in the parking lot and bleed out for a while, and when it gets bad enough, I will be able to help you. So yeah, there is no way that you can argue that the Dobbs decision, which undid Roe versus Wade and returned abortion to the states, was a good thing, because women are suffering. and 4 have died at least. I think 5, but I need to double check that. And one of the women who died in Georgia had a child already. So there's a child out there without a mom for what? For these draconian abortion bans that don't do fucking anything. You know, abortions have gone up since the Dobbs decision. So yeah, there you go. If you just say not true, like you're not adding anything, like why do you think that this is on the news then? You think that everybody's lying about this? You think that all this shit is conspiracy theory? Like, miss me with that shit, you know? Let's see here. Tucker Cassidy says, honestly, we haven't even seen the full impact of those bans yet. Yeah, Tucker, and we're not gonna. Because Texas, I believe, passed the law saying that, or they didn't pass the law, they just said, we're not going to track maternal and infant mortality anymore. That is the Republican platform, is we are going to do a shitty thing, and if anybody tries to call us out for the consequences of that, we're just going to ignore the consequences. It's the reason why when Rick Scott was governor of Florida, he made it illegal to use the words climate change in government documents. And now Texas is saying we are not going to track how many women and babies die during childbirth in our state. Why wouldn't you track that information anymore, Texas? I don't know. I guess we just don't feel like it's a productive thing to do for some reason. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah. Why? Shut up. Fuck you. That's why. Let's see here. Wake and Bake Man. Killing baby is crazy work. Well, Wake and Bake Man, what do you think about all the babies that are dying because of these abortion bans? What do you think about all the women that are dying from these abortion bans? What about all the children who are becoming orphans because of these abortion bans? Ronnie Patterson, why with all this do you think most Americans don't agree with you? Most Americans do agree with me. Most Americans believe in the Democratic platform. And that is the reason why I am trying to call attention to the propaganda sphere. Because even though more Americans agreed that Roe should be reinstated, they still voted for Republicans or did not vote because abortion was not front of mind. What was front of mind was prices high during the Biden administration, his fault. Gaza, his fault. Republicans will be better, question mark. You know, Kamala's going to force me to buy an electric car. And that's what was front of mind for voters. You know, and that's propaganda. The fact is, people vote for Democratic platform principles when they are as ballot referendums in their state. But they don't want to vote for Democrats. Now, why is that? It's because the brand of the Democrats has been successfully smeared by the right and the left. You know, like if you are a right-wing influencer like Tim Pool or Ben Shapiro, you're going on your podcast all day and S-ing Trump's D and kissing his ass 24/7. But if you're a left-wing influencer, you get more cred for hating the Democratic Party and Democratic politicians. You know, I see it all the time. I see leftists on here calling AOC a fascist, you know, and saying that Bernie isn't even left-wing if you look at, you know, other left-wing parties like in Germany and Sweden and shit like that, you know? Yeah, Democrats get it from all sides. They get zero credit for the things they do. Republicans get zero blame for the things that they do. You know, it is part of the right-wing propaganda sphere that people do not understand that what they want is the Democratic platform. And that the way to get that is to vote for Democrats. Let's see here. Rob, Walk with Jesus. I don't know if you can hear yourself. You're either left or far left. I mean, I am not ashamed to admit that I am a lefty. I don't know what you want to call me. I like to call myself a progressive, but I'm sure whoever wants to, you all can examine my beliefs and tell me if I'm a leftist or a liberal or a commie or a socialist or whatever. Like, I don't really give a shit. Brandon, I just got here, but I really dislike how right-wing politics are just anti-democrat. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like, the entire platform is own the libs. It's the reason why when they won the election, all the narratives were like, suck it, libs, suck our balls, we fucking hate you. Women, your body, my choice now. Yeah, like all that really cool shit that Republicans were doing, you know, post-election. And they were all coming out of the woodwork like, remember how we lied and said that Project 2025 wasn't the plan? Well, it is the plan. He. We tricked you. Ha ha ha. Like that's their entire fucking ethos, you know? Fuck the poor, help the rich, and own the libs. That is the Republican platform. Let's see here. Alrighty. in TV man says, communism, here is your loaf of bread for this month. Really? Really? Is that what you're going to go for? Because look around, man. Capitalism ain't doing so hot. You know, we are suffering through a cost of living crisis. Income inequality is the highest that it has been in generations. It wasn't this bad during the Gilded Age. You know, I think what you hate is capitalism, you know? There's never been a communist country. Every country that calls itself communist or socialist is actually authoritarian, you know? So miss me with that shit. Let's see here. Wake and Bake Man says, facts just like y'all pushed LGBTQ on us, bye-bye. I mean, we didn't do shit. We just said that LGBTQ people should be able to exist and live their fucking lives. And Republicans were like, no, no, I hate that, you know? Thomas Nichols says, old government cheese. Don't even know what that's a reference to, my man. Brandon, conservatism is super ideological compared to the actual transformative policies of the left. Say more about that, Brandon. I'm not really sure what you're getting at there. Joseph Vassar, once Trump gets elected, stock market goes up and the wars in the world start to change. That's really interesting because the stock market has been going up consistently during the Biden administration. And there was exactly as much turmoil and pre-world turmoil during the Trump administration. Like, I think you're forgetting, you know, the last year of the Trump administration, you know, the fact that he was starting fights with everybody and, you know, COVID had completely decimated the economy and was causing strife everywhere. You know, the fact that there is fighting in the Middle East right now is, I think, in a large part due to Trump's foreign policy decisions. You know, we abandoned our allies. You know, we kicked sand in the face of Palestine by not including them in the Abraham Accords and moving the embassy to Jerusalem. You know, Trump assassinated an Iranian general. Like, none of that stuff helped stabilize the region. He also left the Iran, you know, nuclear deal. You know? So, yeah, fucking miss me with that shit. Let's see here. Wake and Bake Man says, I'm out of here. Cool. You know, you will not be missed. Keegan Allred, any precedent for something as massive as 100% tariffs on BRICS nations? Not that I know of. But you know, I hope y'all are excited about the price increases and the corruption, by the way. I don't think enough people talk about how tariffs are an excellent mechanism for corruption because companies can apply to be exempt from tariffs. And so who gets to decide what company gets exempt? It's the president. And what is the metric that Trump is going to use? You know, he's going to use the metric of how good are you for me? You know, like, are you going to give business to Trump hotels? Are you going to, you know, give me a cushy gig, a cushy no-show job when I leave office? Are you going to, you know, bribe my children like the Saudis did and giving Jared Kushner $2 billion for fucking nothing, you know? So, yeah, corruption, grift, higher prices. I hope you guys enjoy what you voted for. Brandon, I mean to say the Dems are more concerned with human rights than Republican capitalism. Rich is better than poor. Yeah, I completely agree with that, you know? Thomas Nichols, did he do that his first time? What are you referring to, Thomas Nichols? Are you referring to the corruption? Because, yes, he did. He did do the corruption. It's the reason why we ignored the Saudis murdering Jamal Khashoggi. It's the reason why Jared Kushner got $2 billion from the Saudis. It's the reason why China gave Trump, I think, $5 million or $20 million. Egypt gave Trump $5 million. You had foreign, you know, nationals staying in Trump properties, spending, like, you know, tons of money. All the lobbyists were hanging out at Trump Hotel DC because they thought that would make it look better, you know. Ivanka Trump got a whole bunch of trademarks passed in China that were previously, you know, being held up by the government. So, yeah, of course the corruption was there. The grift was there, man. There's probably a lot of stuff that we don't even know about. Let's see here. Jay says, now you're lying. I'm not lying. You can Google all this shit. Jason Confused, your party literally has lied the entire 4 years. No, we haven't. I don't know what you're fucking talking about. Juror says, you think a politically minded person would be averse to the American flag and sitting under it? I mean, this is just to let people know that I know more about American politics than foreign politics. So, you know, not to ask me about, you know, Nigel Farage or, you know, Keir Starmer or shit like that, you know? That's what the American flag is doing there. Let's see here. Bro is biased, says user a whole bunch of numbers. No, I'm not. I just look at the data and I form my political opinions based on that data. You know, it would be biased if I just said that I disagree with everything the Democrats do and I disagree with everything the Republicans do. Let's see here. Ginny Hung, who do you want to be our nominee in 2028? I'm not going to think about that, honestly, Ginny. It's like, you know, we got a real rough 4 years coming down the pike, and wish casting about who the Democratic nominee is going to be. I'm not sure how productive that is. But there's a lot of I think we got a really deep bench of a lot of really great candidates. And will the corruption and authoritarianism of the Trump administration even make it possible for Democrats to win elections going forward? Like, I'm not really sure. We have a lot of work to do in order to make sure that our votes count going forward. And so, yeah, I think people should be focused on that. But thank you for your question. I really appreciate that. Let's see here. Old Norseman says, host, you promised to do the Trump dance if Trump won. No, I didn't. What the fuck are you talking about? Let's see here. Dazed and Confused 22. Give us 5 things you agree with that Trump has done. No, thank you. I'm not here to stain-wash Trump. Tucker Cassidy, can you speak to the oligarchy that seems to be taking hold in the Trump administration? Yeah, you know, I don't know how using words like demagogue and oligarch is helping things, because the issue is where people get their news from and how educated you have to be in order to understand political news. And so I remember when Trump first got elected and I saw Martin Sheen doing an infomercial about the Electoral College is supposed to save us from demagogues like this. And I was like, yeah, demagogues. And then I had to Google it. And I was like, oh, scapegoating. Demagoguing is scapegoating. Okay, I understand that now. But it just makes it seem elitist, and it makes it difficult for people to, you know, like engage with the political process when there are so many words being bandied about that people don't know about, you know. And it happens everywhere. You know, like I had, you know, somebody was trying to argue with me on the right, talking about NGOs, and I was like, all right, well, you can just say non-government organizations for the lay people that maybe are interested in this as well. So yeah, an oligarchy is basically just a government run by a small group of people who are all like buddies with each other. That is what Stalin's Russia was he had like 10 good friends that he gave government jobs to, and they would just do whatever the fuck that he wanted. And that's basically what Trump is gearing up for. It's the reason why he is only appointing loyalists to his cabinets. Psychopaths like Kash Patel. Conspiracy theorists like Tulsi Gabbard, who are just going to do whatever the fuck he wants. You know, and those people are then going to be able to infiltrate, you know, commerce in order to enrich themselves, you know, which is exactly what happened in Russia when, you know, Putin started exerting authoritarian pressure on the citizens there. So yeah, it's a fucking nightmare. It's going to be a massive grift. All the people in the Trump orbit are going to fucking make out like bandits, and we're all going to get fucked because of it, you know? And so I was trying to avoid this outcome by working hard to elect Democrats, but, you know, Republican propaganda is too strong. They have too much money to throw around to influence our elections, you know? And they were getting help from Russia also, you know? And they were cheating. You know, Elon Musk was giving people $1 million to register to vote. He was paying Republicans to register to vote, which is illegal. So yeah, the Lime and the Wire over on Twitch says, all of those Biden deliveries you mentioned were solid. Are you saying that the messaging was the primary issue? Do you have any thoughts about whether these improvements actually translated into sufficient improvements to people's lives, which could be felt on the lowest level? I feel like there's a lot of territory between I feel 10% less screwed than before, and that went really well. 100% the Lime and the Wire. Completely agree with everything that you said. The problem is that Democrats would talk about, they would say that this is what Democrats were saying, all right? And I know because I was watching. Democrats were saying, look, there's a cost of living crisis happening right now. People are really struggling. And, you know, there is a lot of work that still needs to be done. But the Democratic Party has been working for you. We've done this, we've done this, we've done this. And there are all these great financial indicators that can show you the progress that we have made. Inflation is coming down. Unemployment is going down. The stock market has never been higher. There is more work to do, and we hear that you're struggling. But we just want to say that there is a difference between what we can do for you and what we're going to accomplish for you and what Republicans are going to do and accomplish just for the rich. Like, that's all they care about is the rich. Like, look at what Trump did during his term. All he did was pass a massive billion-dollar tax cut, trillion-dollar tax cut for the wealthiest people. And they heard that. People heard that. And what landed in their brain was, the Biden administration is trying to tell me that the economy is great even though I'm struggling. They missed all the other shit that was said. And you can say that that's because of where people got their information from. You know, like, you can say that, so here's the thing. People that read traditional media or legacy media or watch, like the news, people that are politically informed voted Democrat by a margin of like 80% to 20%. It's just the people who are uninformed or who get their information from social media that were the voters that we needed to reach with this information. So the people that didn't get the information, didn't get the full speech from Democrats that said, we hear you're struggling, we know there's more work to do, but here's what we did for you. They only heard the part that said, the economy is perfect, what are you fucking complaining about? Where did that narrative come from, So yeah, but I don't think the problem is Democratic messaging. I think the problem is that Democrats can do all the most brilliant messaging in the world, but if money is behind drowning out those narratives and putting out narratives that help Republicans instead, Democrats don't have the resources to fight that. 75% of all billionaire donations this election cycle went to Republican candidates. And there was also dark money and Russian influence. There aren't going to be enough $5 donations in the world to match that. Two of the richest people in the world right now, Elon Musk and Vladimir Putin, were using their considerable resources and power and influence to elect Republican candidates. And you can make an argument that other countries were doing that as well. Other authoritarian countries were doing that as well. So yeah, people can say like, the Democrats can't message for shit, or, it's because of, Kamala only had 100 days, or people didn't like that she was, that there wasn't a primary or anything like that. Like, all of that is nonsense if the people who are actually getting the information straight from the tap are like firmly Democratic, and it's just the people that are getting their information from the soup of social media, of whatever the algorithms decide is important, whatever influencers are telling them, and it's insidious, man. Like, people don't realize how insidious it is that you have a poster out there who all their videos are like Democratic shit and talking about how, the Republican Party is terrible and Democratic, positions, blah, blah, blah. And all their videos have like 1,000 views. But then they have one video criticizing the Democratic Party, and that video gets 10 million views. Like, it's bananas. And it's a little bit like the movie They Live. Like, when you put the glasses on, like, you just start seeing it everywhere, Yeah, there are creators who I have liked like every single one of their videos. And then they put one out where I'm like, oh, that seems unproductive. Like, there was a dude who put out a video whose stuff I actually really liked before this that was full of lies about how he said Democrats lose elections on purpose. He said Democrats could have enshrined Roe versus Wade, but there's so many times, they had so many opportunities to do that. And that is bullshit. That is a lie. So that guy is either being paid to put out that information and to disguise himself as a lefty, or that is a lefty who has fallen for the propaganda from other people who have said that to him. Like, why did he say that? Did he not know that that was not true? Or did he, or did he not care that that was not true? Like where's all this stuff coming from? And part of the reason why it's so insidious is because it's every flavor, if we're just saying Biden is old, if that's the only thing, then that's, that's one, problem is Biden old, but it's Biden old and don't vote for Democrats because we want to send a message for them to be more progressive. And also Democrats are so far to the left, they're going to force you to, get an electric car and you're never going to be able to eat hamburgers again. And it's the border is wide open, which it wasn't. And it's, Obama built the camps that, separated the families, so like this, it's a million things. that are just drenching the brains of the people in this country with bullshit that just so happens to hurt the Democratic Party, you know? So that's my take on that. Sorry if that was a little long-winded. Bill Clinton over on YouTube says, hello, Jared. What's up, Bill Clinton? How's it going? I got questions for you about Epstein's plane. Let's see here. Joseph Vassar, did Kamala not pay for supporters? I do not believe that she did. Let's see here. CJ, do you think Trump supports Project 2025? Yeah, he's nominating multiple authors of Project 2025 to his cabinet. Yes, obviously, he is pro Project 2025. He lied about Project 2025, about that not being his plan going forward. He is a liar. And this is another part of the propaganda, guys, is anytime Trump says something that we want to be like, look at how terrible that is, everybody's like, he's a liar, he's full of shit. But then when he says things like, I don't know anything about Project 2025, and we go, he's lying, and then everybody goes, I don't know, he disavowed it, I don't know, you know, that's part of the propaganda sauce that I'm talking about. Retired Pile says, Trump doesn't lie. Cool. Sure thing, Retired Pile, sure thing. Let's see here. Laura says a con man lied. Yeah, I know. Can you believe it? Let's see here. The lime and the wire. That's fair. In the UK, we got theoretical caps on political campaigns funding, but it means nothing against the might of the media owned by the right. And I guess there's some proof of what you're saying, because before the right took the reins of social media, Obama used it to crazy good effect in 2008 and 2012. Yeah, you know, I think that there's a lot of data here to go off of, you know, but I think that you make some really excellent points, the lime and the wire. I appreciate you being part of the chat here. I hope that you will return. Let's see here. What else we got going on over here? Retired Pile says JK. Excellent. Thank you. I'm glad. Mr. Pickle 095 says Elon Musk paid $1 million a day for votes. Yeah, he was paying Republicans to register to vote, which is illegal. I did a voter registration drive, and I asked one of the groups that I was working with if I can give away stickers to people if they register to vote, and they were like, don't do that, you can go to jail. But Elon Musk does it. Here's the thing. We can't incentivize people to cheat, because the only consequences that they will feel is if they lose. Does that make any sense? You know, like, Elon Musk could have been in legal trouble for all the shit that he did during the campaign to help elect Trump. But because he cheated very well, there'll be no consequences. It's the same shit with Trump in 2016, all the cheating that he did to win the election, and then he won, and then he was able to escape consequences because of that. And then he won again in 2024, so he was able to escape consequences for all the consequences that were coming down the pike, you know? Let's see here. I started a joke which started the whole world crying. Lisa G. Marie, why didn't Musk get in trouble? Because when you have a lot of money and power, the gears of justice work very slowly, because they're able to pay high-powered lawyers to delay and defer and divert attention and shit like that. So yeah, you know, it sucks. There's two justice systems. There's one for the rich and there's one for everybody else. And if you're not rich, it fucking sucks. And if you are rich, you get to do whatever the fuck you want. Isn't that nice? Anthony Prestiani says, enough with the Trump hate. No. Z Day. There's a two-tier justice system in America. It's fundamentally broken. Completely agree with that. Let's see here. Rip Lifted says, Clintons know all about that. Yeah, listen, I do not have any allegiance to the Clintons. And, you know, if you show me, you know, if you tell me that everybody who was on Epstein's plane is going to go to jail for being a, you know, what's the word that we're using on TikTok for the P files, you know? Then I'm not going to shed a single fucking tear for Bill Clinton, you know, like, fucking do it, man. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. Let's see here. Imagine a party backed by billionaires grappling about millionaire elitists. Yeah, you know, yeah, no lies detected. Let's see here. Elon Musk, that's what he believes in the lower class works for you for nothing. Yeah, I'm not really sure what you mean by that. Thomas Nichols says, sure, ask Hunter. Yeah, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit, Thomas Nichols, because Trump pardoned a guy who murdered a cop. There was a guy who was in jail for murdering a cop, and Trump pardoned him. He murdered a cop, he went to jail, he was convicted, and then Trump, for some reason, I don't know if he was friends with the guy or the guy paid him a bunch of money or whatever, Trump pardoned him. That guy is now back in jail because he beat his wife. So yeah, you can miss me with that Hunter Biden shit. You know, the number of people that Trump pardoned who should not have been pardoned, and the crimes that they did that were so much worse than what Hunter Biden did. Fucking miss me with that shit, man. I don't give a fuck. Biden played by the rules. He did everything he was supposed to. He was an institutionalist. He did not instruct the Justice Department to go after Trump. He told the Justice Department, do what you do. Be independent. That is what your job is. And how did he get rewarded? You know, the world told him, you're too old man. Get the fuck out of here, old man. And then he lost the election. And then the Democrats lost the election. And, you know, his kid, Hunter, you know, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? I don't really give a shit. You know, but he was weaponized by the Republican Party. So, yeah, you know, knowing that potentially a psychopath like Matt Gaetz was going to be, you know, the attorney general, I would want to protect my kid from that shit too, because they're not going to stop going after Hunter Biden, you know. So, yeah, you know, I don't care. You know, I don't think presidents should have the power to pardon anybody. So, you know, that's my position on that. I'll vote for that, you know. Alrighty. Yeah, Z Gardaday. People can disagree with Biden's pardon if they disagree with Trump's pardon. Yeah, I have this thing. I'm trying to figure out a way to phrase it correctly where it's like, if there's a list of pardons that you should be upset about, the Hunter pardon is at the very fucking bottom, you know? So, you know, I am not going to get upset about the Hunter pardon, not because I think it was an okay thing to do, but because there were so many other pardons that I am upset about that I think are a lot worse, you know? Yeah, I agree with you, Zigar, today. I'm just trying to figure out the most concise way to phrase it, you know? Alan Quinn 55 is Secretary of Housing and Urban Development a black job? I have seen this narrative on social media that it is interesting that the Trump administration, which did not nominate a lot of African Americans to positions of power, for some reason nominated a black person to run the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And it has been theorized that the reason why Trump did that is because he thinks that it is a black job because it has the word urban in it. And while I don't know if that is true, it tracks with everything that I've ever heard about Donald. Everything that I know about that guy, that all tracks because he's an idiot and he's racist. Let's see here. Piece by piece. Says he didn't do that twice. Yeah, he did, because he nominated an African-American for this time around, and he did it in 2016. He nominated Ben Carson, who had no experience with housing. You know, he was a neurosurgeon, and he nominated him for that. So, yeah, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Let's see here. At this point, I think, who cares? Bro just flipped a double bird with a joint on his way out. Let's see here. Piece by piece. No, you said he didn't do that. What are you talking about, piece by piece? Alan Quinn 55. It's where all Republican presidents put a black person there. Do they really? Wow, I only heard it from Trump, but yeah, I'm interested in that. I'm gonna have to give that a Google and see if that is accurate. Didn't he do that twice? Ah, you're right. It's my reading comprehension that's the problem. You are correct. Piece by piece, you are 100% correct. I'm a fucking idiot. Okay. Z Day says, HUD is expecting some regulatory changes in 2025 too. It's a nightmare. Yeah, did you know that that Trump cut HUD's budget by $7 billion, and that's part of the reason why we're suffering through a housing shortage right now? I don't know. That feels like the sort of thing that I was yelling about for months before the election, but that nobody gave a shit about for some fucking reason, you know? Also, think about this, all right? Think about this. You want to talk about grift? You want to talk about fucking corruption? You want to talk about the issue of oligarchy, meaning that Trump's going to nominate a bunch of his buddies to run the fucking country with him? So Elon Musk is, there's all these reports coming out about how shitty his cars are and how many deaths have been caused by how shitty his cars are and how many deaths have been caused by how shitty the self-driving feature of his Teslas is. Now that they have control of regulatory agencies, they're going to make it so that I've already seen the news reports about this, that Elon wants to get rid of the regulations around self-driving cars so that he can just unleash his fucking robo-taxis on the world, and they're going to be fucking crashing into pedestrians and killing people and everything, and he's not going to go to jail for that shit. Just driving is going to be more dangerous because of the people that Trump is putting in charge of the government. It's a fucking nightmare out there. Let's see here. Loves Cox says, read the comments right. That's exactly what he said. Yeah, we've been there. We've already fucking raked me over the coals for my poor reading comprehension skills. Let's see here. Olivivid. I think I've seen you before, Olivivid. Let's see here. What's the importance of China going after Taiwan? Foreign policy is not my strongest suit. So I believe that, if I was going to shoot from the hip, I would say that China has been a little more colonialist in the past decade, and that that Taiwan and Hong Kong are part of a larger scheme of trying to expand China's property. Like what is considered China. That's just shooting from the hip. I'm not sure if there's a larger impetus there besides just make China bigger. Let's see here. All right, let's see here. We're at about an hour, and we have slowed down considerably. So I am going to probably head out of here soon. I'm going to do my outro, and then I'll do a couple of last questions if there are there. But this is my first one back since my surgery, and I'm a little tired, and it kind of sucks talking with the stitches and the roof of my mouth being scarred still. But I thought we got some really good questions on this one, and I'm happy to get back. I am probably going to do another live stream tomorrow. If you guys ever curious about my streaming schedule, you should check out my website, because I'm very good at maintaining that schedule. And I will sometimes post these as events on TikTok or on Twitch. We'll have my schedule up there usually. JarrettBerenstein.com for all of my live tour dates, and you can check out my podcasts and shit like that. JarrettBerenstein.com is a great place to go for if you're ever curious, like where I'm at, what I'm up to. I've got a couple of big tours coming up in just after Christmas. I'm going on the road on the West Coast, and then I got 2 more coming up. The first half of the year, I'm going to be on the road 3 times. So if you want to come see me do stand-up live, that is a great place to find those dates. Let's see here. So yeah, everybody who's still listening, I know we got a rough 4 years coming up, but the damage will be exacerbated by if we do nothing, and so let's learn lessons from 2016 and not burn ourselves out getting upset about every fucking thing, but let's make sure that we are being smart about where we put our energy, and make sure that we are working with great organizations that are helping to mitigate the disaster of the upcoming 4 years and make it so that we have good election outcomes in 26 and 28. So if you don't know where to look for that stuff, Vote Save America is a great resource. Run for Something is a great organization. I volunteer with them a whole bunch. AOC seems like she is on top of this. So I recommend following her. She's got a lot of great advice for where to go and what to do. So yeah, if you ever miss one of these live streams and you want to catch up, they're archived on YouTube and as a podcast that you can check out on my website, JarrettBerenstein.com. So yeah, normal schedule is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, but sometimes I augment that with a Friday because I really like doing these. And yeah, I appreciate all the support that you guys can give me. If it is a follow, if it is a like, if it is a share, or if it's a money thing like a gift or, joining my Patreon, or I've got a store. on my website that only has like one item on it, but it's banger items. You should go check that out. Yeah, there's lots of ways to support, and I appreciate any kind of support that you can give me, free or otherwise. All right, but yeah, let's wrap things up. I'm really tired. Let's see if there's any last good questions here. The Lime and the Wire over on Twitch. Is there much hope that the justices installed by Trump previously might stand their ground professionally and be genuinely impartial about dealing with a lot of the crap coming in under Project 2025? I vaguely remember him trying to rig the FBI and finding out the new guy was still frustratingly impartial for him. I don't have a ton of faith on that. Like, the longer that Trump has been in power, the more purging he has done, and the more authority he has tried to exert and successfully has exerted over his party and the people that he has, installed the justices and whatnot, Like, there are things that the justices did during the Biden administration that people were, like, our jaws were on our chest. We were like, you didn't go along with 2020 was stolen. So maybe you're not going to go along with presidents are immune from prosecution. Oh, you are going along with that. Oh. So yeah, where the Supreme Court is concerned, where his appointees are concerned, where his cabinet is concerned, I don't have any faith that they're going to stand up for us. Will they? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Like, it's strange to me how they have like these little moments of integrity, Neil Gorsuch being like really into rights for Native Americans in this country was like not on my bingo card, but I mean, I'm happy for it. It could also just be smokescreen. Like, they have 6 conservative justices, they only need 5. So, they get to have one person that gets to vote not like a piece of shit every decision. Maybe that's that. I don't fucking know. It's, I don't have any faith, but I will be grateful and happy every time, every time it happens. Every time we get a Mitt Romney or an Adam Kinzinger or a Liz Cheney, who I'm like, you're a Republican, your policies only help the rich, but for some reason you have enough integrity to stand up to Donald Trump, like, I'm happy. I'm happy about that. And I will give you the kudos that you require. But I do not have faith. I do not have faith that they are going to discover a spine. I don't have faith that I listened to the Chris Hayes podcast, and he is hopeful that the factionalism and infighting of the Trump administration will stop a lot of the things that he said that he's going to try to do. And that would be great, but I don't have a ton of faith that that is going to happen. But, who knows? Who knows? The future is uncertain. Anybody who tells you that they know what is going to happen is fucking full of it. So, yeah. I can only tell you what I think is going to happen based on what has happened in the past. Let's see here. Z Gardaday says, you open for Steve Hofstadter? I do open for Steve Hofstadter. I've been opening for Steve Hofstadter for... I think almost 10 years now, Let's see here. Forever Me 23. Say the name of your website again, jarrettberenstein.com. It's very easy to remember because it's my fucking name. Let's see here. Sunshine Wildflower says, I think TikTok is suppressing AOC. I don't know how these fucking algorithms work. Forever Me 23, is the name of your website going to be your name here on TikTok? It's just my name. My name is my TikTok name. My name is my website. My name is my name. Let's see here. Laura, are your shows political stand-up? I do talk about politics a little bit in my stand-up, but I don't exclusively talk about politics in my stand-up. And also the guy that I open for, Steve Hofstadter, he's the same. Like, he talks about politics, but it's not like the main crux. Like, he tells stories about his life, and he has a lot of really silly jokes, that are completely non-political, but we share very similar priorities politically, shall we say. Let's see here. That guy, Sean77, why do Republicans complain and bash Ted Cruz and Mitch McConnell, but still vote for them? I don't know. People can get really entrenched in their identities. And if your identity is Republican, then you will vote for the Republican candidate even if you hate them, because you believe that Democrats are worse. So yeah, Yeah, I don't know. There have been so many elections where I was like, yeah, Ted Cruz, everybody fucking hates him. This is the end for him. And then, he just goes ahead and fucking wins. I can't believe he beat Beto. I can't believe he beat fucking Colin Allred. He's the most dislikable human being on the planet, and yet he keeps on winning these fucking elections. Also, not for nothing, these are elections that are happening in Kentucky and Texas, which have been run for a very long time by Republicans. Now, is there some shady shit going on there? I don't put it past them whatsoever. Like, we've already caught Republicans in doing shady shit. They've admitted that their entire push for voter ID laws has been to depress the vote of poor people and people of color. Partisan gerrymandering and, going to bat for the Electoral College and, all the fucking deregulating of the campaign finance laws that they are behind. Like, is there shady shit going on in Kentucky that keeps on electing Mitch McConnell? Is there shady shit going on in Texas that keeps on electing Ted Cruz? I don't have any evidence, but I wouldn't put it past him, Yeah, and I don't know the numbers. I don't know the numbers on how many votes are being suppressed in Texas that are causing Ted Cruz to win these elections. Or, does, Mitch McConnell have a relationship with the people that own Dominion voting machines, and that's the reason why Democratic votes are getting changed to Republican votes? Or maybe just the cultures of those states are so firmly pro-Republican and anti-Democrat that it's not even, people don't even give a shit about policy or the politician, But yeah, I don't know. I have not seen any substantive data on that, except for the fact that there's just more Republicans in those places. All right. Excellent questions, everybody. Let's see here. Z Gardaday. Z Gardaday, you don't have to make a trip to California. Where are you, in Oregon? Are you in Washington? Because I do go up there. I think I have some Washington dates coming up in May or some shit like that. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Oregon. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm doing Oregon in May. But I have to double check my calendar. Keep an eye. Don't book a flight yet. You don't have to make a special trip yet. All right. I'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Don't be despondent. Do the work. Be good to yourselves. And I will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. 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 Thank you, The Lime and The Wire. And I hope that you will give me a follow and we'll come back again. All right, gotta shut down my little